Are you trying to navigate this crazy thing called life? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Unraveling with Rayne. Sweet. Hey guys, I'm here with a couple people from Washington Living. We've got Braden Loveland and Joe Blanco, and they are founders of Washington Living. How are you guys doing today?
Not too shabby.
Doing pretty well.
Good.
Good.
Right on. Now, the group is larger than just the two of you, right?
So as of right now, it's kind of dropped back down to the two of us.
Has it?
It's kind of done some expansion. Then people have moved on, and then
Yeah, so
moved.
we had a key player in our group. His name was Ivan Gutierrez, and for a period of about 2 years, he was helping us out with our videos, and he was the third party, but he had some situations happen to him that caused him to want to move, so he ended up moving down to California, and his long-term goal is to move back down to Mexico, and so we probably won't see him for a while, and so we've kind of had to go back to step one and start right over, where with 3 people, it's really easy to work on projects, but when you only have 2 people, you can only have like one person operating the camera and the second person in front of the camera, so you're limited on the amount of projects you can do.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. You guys are doing it though. Two-man team.
We're
Little
chugging
bit,
along.
yeah. So with our situation right now, Joel still lives here in the Tri-Cities, and I live out in Spokane.
So you guys are remotely doing this.
So,
It's
kind of
really slowed down, and
taking
it's
the time to actually meet up and.
we want to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
But being so far away from each other, driving 2 hours, we can't just be like, hey, let's meet up today for a quick project and then split up after that. It has to be like during the weekend when when both of us have time off, so we can make a trip out to wherever. If I have to come out here to the Tri-Cities, or if he has to come out to Spokane, it has to be planned out, and we have to have the time off. And
Sure. Well, why don't you guys tell us a little bit more about what Washington Living is?
Okay.
So that people have a better idea of how having just 2 people working on this project
Mhm.
could be a little bit more difficult.
So Washington Living was originally intended to be a multi-platform for entertainment and education through videography, and it was never intended to be something that we wanted to make money off or to make it a career. It was just something that was a hobby that we wanted to do when we had our free time. And in the past, we've had a lot more free time and more opportunities to work on projects compared to where we're at right now. So
Sure. Right on. Very cool. All right, so tell us a little bit about what got you started in videography in this project.
you want to go first?
Yeah. So, my passion kind of started when I entered 8th grade. I saw that there was a video class, and I kind of just went for it. After taking it, just kind of like sparked this whole interest of like, wow, I can make these funny videos and have people laugh at them, and have fun doing them.
Yeah.
And so after that, just went into high school, kind of started taking all those video editing classes, and met up with Braden. I think we were already friends, and so after meeting up in the video editing class or letting him know about it, we kind of were just like, hey, let's meet up and make videos outside of school.
Sure. And I know that comedy is a heavy thing in what you guys do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I took the same class that he took back in the day. It was in middle school. It was we had a teacher. His name was Mr. Marble, and he taught us to learn how to video edit it and do other forms of like editing and making like flash videos, and we would make like website pages and posters. And so it was a multimedia class, and so that just kind of sparked the interest that we had that we didn't know we had in filming. And from there, we just started dedicating our time to it. And we found that this interest was something that we could excel at, whereas a lot of students who, went to school with us, who were excelling in, the book work and whatnot, they weren't so great in that field.
Sure, and I think that that's something that a lot of people miss when it comes to, like, editing and stuff. It is an art form, really. Like, it's just another outlet for people to be creative and whatever suits them. So did you guys kind of find that feeling, too?
We did, yeah, and a lot of people don't like to edit, and with that class especially, there were students that were like, oh, I hate this, I don't get it at all, and we're like, it's pretty simple and it's fun too. Like when you get to screw around and do random videos and then compile it together into a project and see what your final product is.
It's really paying attention to like the fine details and getting like the correct mark, like when like a certain action happens. It's that's really more my passion is where getting it right
Mm-hmm.
and seeing it all flow through, like just a cohesive scene. That's
Yeah,
like
and like
really fun for me. That's
Right.
the most fun.
finishing the project and looking at it, even if it turns out to be a bad project, it's still fun to look at and be like, my God, what did we do? Whereas other,
Yeah.
Where can I tweak that there next time?
yeah, definitely. Then we can look back at it a few years down the road and be like, well, that was fun to do and it's hilarious to look at. Even though we show people and they're like, I don't know about that one.
Like, I love this one. This is a learning experience for
Yeah.
me, right?
It
That's
was
what
one
I
of
do
our
anyway.
favorite sketches.
Yeah.
No, we hate that one. Oh, okay.
right. Yeah, but I think the thing about editing for me is it takes so much time.
It does.
There's so much time that you have to dedicate, not just to like editing itself, but learning the program that you're using. Like there's so many different things in there to look at and to mess with. But I guess that's kind of where the fun comes in. Is you're like, oh, I can do that, and I can.
And then when you learn something new to tweak a video, I mean, I remember back in the day, like in the 8th grade, when I would learn something new, or I'd learn a new effect, or like learn how to do a new title sequence with an intro. I would go show my friends and my parents, and they didn't have as much interest as I did after I did it, but I was so excited to see what I could do through this computer.
Yeah, that's cool. So this partnership is kind of good in that way too. I'm sure you guys can be excited about what everybody's working on and bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So do you guys, like, when you work on a project, does one of you handle most of the editing, or do you guys kind of split it up, or certain projects to certain people, or how do you guys run that?
Yeah, it's kind of been split in between.
Yeah.
We'll kind of both be there during the editing process, just to back each other up, or like give insight, like, hey, maybe we should do this instead of that. It's always good to have those two brains working on.
Yeah.
It is having a different perspective when you're editing, because when you're putting a project together, you might not see something that someone else could view and point out to you. And so like when he's with me and when Ivan would be with me, we could have a project that like we're looking at the footage and we're like, oh, how can we salvage this? And then we end up like compiling it all together in a proper manner to where we're like proud of what we did from where we came from at the beginning with the mediocre footage. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But kind of stressful, but awesome.
It can be, especially when like we're looking back at footage and there's something that we missed, like something in the shot that should not have been in the shot, and it's already too late because we filmed all these shots and we spent so much time dedicating to it, and we're like, God, what do we do now? And that's when like our minds come into play with the different perspectives on how we can work our way around it to finalize the project.
Nice, very cool. So you guys kind of started this adventure when you're in 8th grade, and this new world is opened up to you. And so what was your decision-making process from there? Because I know this is kind of like a project, not really like something that you're dedicating towards like company-wise. Or is that something that you would eventually do, or is it just all kind of like a...
It's always been in the back of our mind, making it something that brings an income in. But we've never wanted to depend on it and to rely on it as a source of income.
Kind of like
because
a passion project.
A passion project, definitely, because with Joel, he's working 2 jobs, and I'm working 30 to 40 hours a week, and I have my college classes in the mornings, so it's kind of like you're nitpicking that time to figure out where you can fit in the filming.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys are kind of headed in this direction, and like, so walk me through the process of deciding that this is something that you were going to do, from initially being introduced to it and seeing that it's something that you really like, and then this partnership together, and so what happens from there? Tag, you're in.
Kind of a loaded question there.
I can so rewinding back to like the 8th grade when we were taking these classes, it was very individualized. Joel was doing his own thing and I was doing my own thing, and
it really wasn't until like sophomore year when we first started coming together and we're like, hey, let's make these videos outside of school. And from there it was kind of just like keeping consistent with it, like, hey, let's make another one, let's keep it going. Maybe one of them will catch traction and see if like other people want more of what we're putting out.
And at this time too, we were collaborating with your brother Jaden, and so this was like we had all these different ambitious projects, but back then we were a lot more young and naive and less ambitious. So really even though we had these ambitious projects, we never could pull through with them and get like collectively organized to do so. And I think what was cool is we had these ambitious projects that would allow us to later on, as we built that maturity and that responsibility, to start pulling through with these types of projects.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so sophomore year was kind of like we'd get together and we'd film a video, and we never knew if we would actually put it together and put it on YouTube, because back then we didn't use Facebook as a vessel for putting our videos up.
Yeah. So what year is that?
Sophomore year.
So
We graduated in 2013.
11.
yeah.
2010, 11, yeah, probably around that time.
So Facebook was kind of, I mean, obviously Facebook had been around at that point, but it wasn't as utilized as it is today for that kind of a push.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many social media outlets.
I don't even think I had a Facebook back then.
Really?
Yeah.
I was still kind of rebelling.
Right.
My mom had one and she was obsessed with it, and I kind of affiliated Facebook with, oh, it's a mom thing. This is what moms and Mormons do. Because a lot of Mormons back in the day had Facebook. I don't know why. It was like if you weren't Mormon, you had MySpace, and if you were Mormon, you had Facebook.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, you know, now that you say that, when I think back to when I first got my Facebook, my mom had one first too.
Yeah.
Like, I was so stuck on MySpace. I was like, why would I even want to do Facebook? Like, I can't edit the site. I can't put music on it.
It was so boring. It was a watered down version of MySpace.
Yeah.
Older person,
exactly.
like,
I can't pimp
here's
out
a
my
profile.
MySpace.
Yeah.
Here's who I am.
I don't have my top 8 on there. What
Yeah.
is this?
Mhm.
Here's MySpace. Oh, man. But yeah, there are a lot of avenues now to kind of put content out there.
Mhm.
And have you guys found that useful?
We haven't utilized all these different avenues for releasing our content, but we have kind of talked about it. Whereas back in the day, I always thought to myself, wow, like with the whole film industry and like videography, it's such a competitive field. But the amazing thing is there's so many different new vessels to release your content. And then you have all these different studios opening up that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. So like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and with these new markets opening up and the population continuing to grow at such a steady pace, there's always going to be job opportunities opening up.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
yes, there's this competition, but we're in an age where there's more opportunities than there ever was
Yeah.
for videography.
Sure, yeah, definitely. So now talking about your journey a little bit more, so you've kind of come through this you've introduced to the filming world and editing and how cool that is, and then you decide to kind of take it outside of school and create videos that way, and then what kind of transpires from there? How does it progress from there?
Okay, so beyond that point, our junior years when we really started taking the video editing and like these films seriously, and we continued to work with Jaden, and we were working on these projects. They were a part of school, but the requirements the projects had, we went way above and beyond what they required, and so we made it like our personal goal to impress everyone that watched it at the school.
Yeah.
And so we released a couple different films, and the big one we released was The Undead,
Yes.
and we premiered it at our high school. And we
Yes.
had a couple hundred people
I was
show
gonna
up,
say,
and it was
I
so
attended.
cool.
I did.
Because, we didn't know how many people were going to show up. Coming from the town of Burbank, the people there aren't very supportive of people who have dreams. And so we're thinking, oh, maybe 15, 20 people are going to show up. And as we're setting up all the equipment and everything in the auditorium, we could hear a crowd outside. And that's what got us excited. We're like, wow, this is real. Like, we have real opportunities to make something of this. If, this many people show up to support our content, then we do have opportunities if we really put the effort into it.
So was it kind of like a solidifying moment for you guys?
It was,
hey,
yeah.
We can have fun and do this, and then people, will want to see our content too.
Yeah, how we saw it is we saw it as kind of a skill set that most people don't have, and people don't have interest in, and that's why it was so opportunistic, because people don't really care to pursue that field, and we had the passion to do it. And with the consistency, we would be able to find our success and our opportunities, and the harder we worked, the more opportunities would start to show up. And
yeah, I think that's definitely something that you can take into most anything that you want to pursue. I mean, consistency is huge. Like, just keep moving with what you love doing. So that's really cool. And I think that's so great, like, that you guys are like, this is a project, like, this is something we're passionate about, this passion project, because like, you don't get that feel from a lot of people anymore. Like, it's always work. But if you find something that you love to do,
then it doesn't
the work,
become work anymore.
exactly, the work isn't work, it's just, you know, enjoying what you're doing. So that's really cool. So then, where did you guys go after this big premiere?
So after the premiere was towards the end of our junior year, and our senior year, we wanted to take a different route because we did all these big projects that took a long time, and there was a lot of like space in between the projects where we weren't putting anything out. So we wanted to do something we hadn't done before, which was comedy sketches. And so we started. We got some new equipment, and like at this point, I finally had my own camera. I got a Rebel T3i, and prior to that, if we were to do like our own projects, we had to like borrow a camera from the school, or like I had to use this old 480p camera that I had, and it was embarrassing when we would put a project together with that camera.
Yeah, but you used what you have, right?
We used what we had to do, and we were still able to push stuff out.
Yeah.
And so senior year we started doing these comedy sketches, and we got consistent for a while. Then things slowed down for a bit. We got caught up in school, and like I started working for the movie theater, and so I wasn't able to like dedicate a whole lot of time to it. So we had like a break for like 6 months. Yeah. And while this was happening, we were operating a page called Average Joe Sketches, and this is where we were releasing the comedy sketches. But with Average Joe Sketches, we never stayed consistent with it, and that's why it never grew. So like, I like to call the videos phases. So we had like phase 1 where we put out like 6 videos. Then we had like 6 months of a break. Then we had phase 2 where we put out like another 5 or 6 videos. And then phase 3 was our weakest phase where we put out like 2 or 3 videos. And at that point, we're like, we need to scrap this whole concept of Average Joe Sketches because we've been operating it for so long, and we haven't put any effort into it, and it's gone nowhere. So let's start new. Let's start over. Let's start new, and create a completely different concept that goes beyond just the sketches platform. Because with Average Joe Sketches, we were really limited to just sketches on the page.
There wasn't much else we could do than just push out kind of like funny stuff, or like not even action. Like we couldn't really break into different genres. It was more just a limitation of that comedy.
And I guess it's, I mean, I feel like we all kind of find ourselves in those kinds of projects where we're putting effort into them, but we realize that it doesn't really encompass everything that we want to do. And so we have to kind of switch gears and revamp and renew. So I feel like that's kind of where you guys are right now as far as with this Washington Living. I mean, maybe.
We are, definitely. I will completely admit we're at
definitely
a stagnated point.
And we kind of had a good run during last year, and
that's the year before too.
And the year before as well. That's when we had more people supporting us. We had Ivan, and we had just a lot more actors like disposable to us, and that's kind of been mostly our biggest fallback is finding people to actually get in front of the camera. Because we're the ones behind the camera, and we don't really have anybody there. Right. Like, what else do we do?
Yes, I personally struggled with that a lot. Like before I ventured into podcasting, like I started doing these live streams on Facebook just to get myself familiar with being in front of a camera. Because I was so nervous and so shy. I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm going to screw something up, or I'm going to like totally lose track of what I'm talking about, or like there's all these different things that you think about when you're in front of a camera.
It's weird.
It's such a small thing, but makes a huge impact in what you're like going to do next.
Because you're like kind of putting yourself in the position of the audience. When you have the camera in front of you, like what are they thinking? Oh my gosh, you have all this anxiety and you're judging yourself. And like, since we haven't been consistent with our videos in a while, it's been almost a year since we've like acted, and so being in front of a camera and trying to get back into that position of like trying to feel natural with acting, it's difficult and it just feels awkward, and the anxiety is coming back with me judging myself constantly about being in front of the camera.
And I think that with acting, like you're given a script, you're given content, and then you have to make that feel authentic and real, and it's not just like we're doing here sitting down and having a conversation, like you have lines and you have to present them in a way. So I feel like that would be something completely outside of my realm as far as like long-term actor, like I don't even know.
And that's a huge problem with us is we put a project together like a comedy sketch, and we write a script out, and when we go on camera we don't practice at all. It's all like, okay, we're ready, let's go. We
Sure.
we went over the lines, we skimmed the lines, and we memorized them just enough to understand the basic concept of the lines, but we haven't like memorized the lines word for word or really practiced to get into the character.
Yeah.
And so we're in front of the camera with no practice, trying to feel natural and to fit into this character, and it doesn't work.
No. So do you think there's a little bit more leeway in comedy as opposed to other avenues?
For
With
sure.
the loose dialogue?
Because, you know, with comedy, you never have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to pull off a drama and you're trying to fill a role with a situation that's depressing or it's traumatic and you haven't practiced your lines and you go into it and the audience, they're watching you and you're like, they're thinking, this is terrible. I'm watching a D-class movie right now.
Right. Well, and then you also have to think about, I guess, the other actors in the scene. Like they'd be looking for cues, and they'll know the other lines too, and so that'd be really challenging to work with somebody who doesn't know their lines. You'd be like, I don't know when I'm supposed to speak.
And that's
now.
happened to us too. We're
Especially
like,
on the fly, we're always like, oh, what are we gonna
what do we say now? Yeah.
Well, I think that would be really challenging for me too, because like I'm just kind of naturally awkward in conversation sometimes. So I can't imagine be like, oh, am I supposed to speak now? Like, what am I supposed
just
to do?
waiting for your lines. Oh god.
Oh, it's
did
my
he forget
turn.
his
Sorry.
lines? Did I forget mine?
Yeah, exactly. That's great. So tell me, so you guys are still pursuing comedy with this, and then what else are you guys going to pursue in this?
We've always had ambitions for more serious projects, but the problem with the more serious projects is we need more time to dedicate to it, and that's our biggest obstacle is time.
Yeah.
I mean, living so far away, we have very limited time to get together, and so it's become even difficult to do the comedy sketches, and so... Joel, you want to tell me about what your plans are to move up?
Oh, yeah, so I do have plans to move up. Around March is when I'm really set on. For now, it's kind of just finishing up with work, getting everything transferred, and starting this new life, trying to actually put some more work into the actual passion, and really start having things take off.
Yeah. So what kind of genres are you guys going to pursue?
I would say more of the drama, more serious content.
Okay.
Videos. We did have kind of a main. What would you say? Like we started out making hiking videos, trail videos, and just taking people along the mountains and showing everybody the sights.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we kind of fell off doing, getting so busy. And that's something I hope we bring back.
Yeah.
But with the dramas, what we want to do is we want to be able to create a drama that doesn't require a heavy budget, because we don't have a heavy budget. I mean, we funnel all our money into our bills and whatnot, and so we want to do something that's practical, that we can film using the environment around us. We don't have to have any like fancy special effects or anything. But where we would shine is writing out a very well scripted script.
So the storyline itself.
Yeah, the storyline. So
perfect.
Having a well written out storyline, and if we can get to the point where we actually practice acting and make it believable that we're playing these parts, then we could pull off the dramas that we would hope to pursue.
Yeah.
Because that's always been our long-term goal, is working on these big projects that inspire people or make people cry or
really get the emotions.
The emotions, definitely, and that's something that we haven't been able to do because we do comedy sketches, so we only apply to one emotion right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that'll be a fun way to like test your skills though, and to brush up your skills and to just branch out and put more stuff out there. That'll be really cool. I know that you had talked about like this. So when you talk about showcasing like trails and stuff and the scenery, is that like just like a highlight on Washington itself, or?
And that's
what
we kind of derived the name was Washington Living, just kind of showing the sights and showing everything that Washington does have to offer.
Yeah. So like Washington Living started off as just a personal YouTube page that I had and I operated, and I would put vlogs up on the page. And for like a year, I stopped putting videos up, and we had decided we were going to scrap Average Joe sketches, and we needed to make the next step. And I told them, well, I have a YouTube channel called Washington Living, and that could be a good opportunity for us to put videos up.
Yeah.
Just because of the name.
Sure.
And so from there, we we started utilizing the YouTube account, but more so we started utilizing Facebook because it's easier to reach out to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Kind of shift back to YouTube through those channels. Yeah, and I think that that's something that's definitely coming up in Washington overall is just this feeling of growth. I know that I feel like here in the Tri-Cities too, this just like things are gonna kind of blossom.
They have to. I mean, the population here is grown so quickly, and there's so much money here in the Tri-Cities. The opportunities are waiting to happen.
Yeah.
People just haven't snatched them up yet.
Yeah, and I think that that's such an exciting thing to witness as it happens. You know, you're just like, oh, that was never here before.
Yeah, just in these last few years, you know, it's amazing how much it's grown.
Yeah.
I mean, I driving along, I think it was Kellogg. It was Kellogg. I don't know what street I was driving on, but I was driving on one of the streets out here, and I only come down here every like 2 weeks, and so I'm driving on the street and I see a car wash, which is brand new, but then I see a brew cheese, which is brand new. And I'm like, oh, wow. Things are popping up everywhere here.
Ooh,
I especially notice it when I don't live here.
I think that's Edison, where they've got that, and then the roasters, and is that where it is?
It might
there?
be, yeah.
That little strip of things. But yeah, it's crazy. It's grown like crazy. Like I know back in what was it? 08? 07 or 08, I moved to Seattle, and I kid you not, every single time I came back, just like you, every couple weeks, every 3 weeks, I'm just like, what
Something
is
new.
happening? There's something new here all the time. So yeah, well, I'm glad that you guys were able to come here and sit down and tell us about your project. And
Yeah, we appreciate you having us.
no problem. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you would like to help support Unraveling with Rayne, go to patreon.com/unravelingwithrayne. When you become a patron, you receive bonus content such as behind-the-scenes footage, along with other special content that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Music for Unraveling with Rayne was provided by Barefoot Randy. Studio space was provided by Moody Logic.